Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another week of Darf Talks. I'm your host, as always, Darf Mike. We're here on the Nerd Street Gamers YouTube channel, and this time, or Twitch channel rather, and this time we've got a great guest for you folks. Very timely, a lot of hype built around this interview. We've got Floppy from VisionGaming. Say hello to everybody, Floppy.
Hello.
For anyone who's not familiar, this is Ricky Floppy Kemery. He is a player for VisionGaming. His teammates are Caboose, Spongy, and new teammates VSA and a Proto. And they just went to the finals of the Mountain Dew League over the best of three series. They lost to Bravado Gaming to come second ultimately in that season of the Mountain Dew League. So coming off of the 7th seed, a strong run. Recently won Tokyo and Tulsa, the LAN. Had a competitive run at Fragadelphia, and now he's here in a chair talking to me. So,
thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good.
Feeling fresh?
Yeah, I love the drama recently, but that's about it.
We're gonna get to that. We're certainly gonna get to that. But first, let's do a little recap. I did it in brief, but let's talk a little bit about what happened last season. You guys came into the Mountain Dew League season as F1 Race Car Peak, Orgulus at the beginning. You had a pretty strong run early on. You were looking very solid. You joined the Vision Gaming org, which it's a new org to Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah, their org specializes in Vainglory. Is a mobile app game it's like League of Legends, but it's on the phone.
Okay. How did you guys get in contact with them originally?
I think it was either Land Hero or Winter Caboose who originally talked to the org, but we're originally going to sign with Blackout, but we figured that Vision offered better stuff for us, so we would sign with them.
I remember there was a little bit of, speaking of drama, there was a little bit of controversy there where some harsh words were said from the Blackout side who felt like they had a commitment and you chose to go in a different direction. And what sort of happened from your perspective in that exchange?
Yeah, well, when I first joined, that I didn't really have that much to deal with it. Like, It wasn't really my say because I just originally joined, but yeah, that's their own thing. I know Spongy and Nathan went off on Twitter against each other, but yeah, yeah, I don't really know. They signed Pioneers now, but yeah, there's not really much to comment on that, you know.
Would you say there's a bit of a rivalry with you and the current Blackout roster? I mean, there's been a couple LAN encounters.
Yeah, I mean, the org, it's like Vision versus Blackout, the org-wise, not necessarily the players, but like the two orgs battling each other. But yeah, I'd say there's some rivalry there.
Little bit of heat.
Yeah.
Does that trickle down to the players if there's an org rivalry? Do you start to feel it a little bit?
I don't think so, because like we've all known each other for like years before the roster even, or before the org was involved. So I think it's more of just like between the players, not like the org.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go up against them.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So, coming out as Vision, you finished the season strong, 10-6. Now, there were 4 10-6 teams in the playoffs last season. You guys wound up going through as the 7th seed based on head-to-head tiebreakers and the tiebreaker rules of ESEA. There was a little bit of confusion when that was happening about who was actually going to make it, who was going to be in. It wound up being you and Bravado. How were you feeling at the end of the season? Going through that whole, or have we, haven't we, will we, won't we?
At the end of finals, MDL finals.
At the end of regular season, when you were figuring out
whether
whether you
regular
made
season.
it.
Well, yeah, that was kind of a stressful day, because we had no idea whether or not we're gonna make it. I thought we were gonna make it. We all thought we were gonna make it because we beat the other 3 teams. We played all 3 teams throughout the season, and so we're pretty much like solidified. But there was rules stated that we potentially couldn't because of round differential, and that scared us a little bit, but luckily we made it through, so I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly paid off. You guys came into playoffs as one of, I mean, you were the 7th seed, right? So you'd kind of just squeaked by, and you came out with some statement matches. I mean, first match was against FYB, which was, you know, the former Torqued GX Genesis, so some very legit players, some very proven players. And you came out and you put the hurting on them in a best of 3. How did you feel after that first victory? Was there maybe some element of having to prove yourselves coming in as a late seed?
Yeah, we were underdogs. Like everyone at HLTV, you know, comments like the FYB is gonna win. Our odds were like 1-9 or something like that. Like it was really bad. But I honestly thought it was even. We just had to play our game, and we did, and we came out on top.
How does that color your feeling as a player coming into a matchup when you know that nobody expects you to succeed?
Oh, honestly, I'm used to it because I've been a meme in this community for like the past 2 years, so I'm pretty much used to it. But yeah, it was people were just surprised after we won. We
Hmm.
won 2-1. I don't remember the maps we played, but we 2-1 them. I remember we won first map. It was nuke, and no one knows how strong our nuke was on that roster, but our nuke was super strong, and we just used that to our advantage. And then we won on cash too, 16-4, I think. And yeah, our cash and nuke were super strong. It was super sick.
Having seen you guys at Tulsa, Nuke was a standout map, definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
just the way the shotguns played on upper is sort of
yeah,
it's
auto shotty
creative.
top up, bro. It's so good.
I've started to see other teams actually pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the first person I've seen do it was Hiko, back when nuke was reworked. He auto shotty top up a lot.
hmm Then so is that where you guys took it from?
I have no idea. When I joined, their nuke was already strong without me, so
So you
it,
just
it
kind of
was just
integrated into it.
yeah, yeah. And I played Daddy Upper, and then our auto shotty was rotate for vent, like
Okay.
secret drop.
Having seen, I mean, personally, I've just seen it start to pop up in other teams in the Mountain Dew League and then leagues below it as well. Do you think that it's kind of cool to see sort of the Vision brand of CS spread a little bit?
Yeah, their org started off small, like 900 Twitter followers, and now they're over 3,000. Like it's pretty sick to like see our org grow. I've never like really seen it escalate that high before. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome. Does it feel like, I mean, in that sense, does it feel like you're kind of, I mean, they were established in another game before, but does it feel like you're kind of forging a path for the brand?
Yeah, I think we have a lot. We got a lot of brand, especially for making MDL finals
Hmm.
and winning the LAN. Like it's just so much exposure for the org, and I'm happy for that.
So, all right. So then you beat FYB. Back to the recap on the season.
Yeah,
Hopping back a little bit. How does it feel to beat a player like Swag, who there's so much hype behind? You know, he's
yeah,
the NA
Brax.
darling. Brax is the savior of NA. How does it
Yeah,
feel to
well,
take the W?
I looked up the. Everyone looks up to Brax at some point, especially like when you're 16 or like 15, 16, and to play against him, like I'm kind of used to it already since I was in rank S since February of last year. So
Hmm.
I was kind of like used to it. I wasn't like too nervous or anything, but yeah, it's just to play him in a match is just like honorable to be honest. Like especially since he's unbanned and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to play against him.
So coming off of that FYB victory, you guys go up against Gorilla Gang. Gorilla Gang was another strong team that people had a lot of expectations for
Yeah.
in the league. I mean, honestly, again, you guys were underdogs coming into it. At that point, was there more confidence having beaten FYB? Was there more confidence in your roster to go deep?
Yeah, I'd say so because our vetoes worked out too. Our vetoes worked out good because people think Gorilla Gang's nuke was really strong. Like they
Hmm.
thought their nuke was really strong. We scrimmed them before on nuke and we like 22 8 of them at some point. Like even though they had a ringer, but like still, um, having nuke in the pool was really good. And I think we what other maps we played them on? I don't remember what other maps we played them on. But yeah, we were super confident going into it. I think we could easily take it too, and we won 2-1. I think. Yeah, it was like 2-1.
So then at that point, having beaten Gorilla Gang, you guys are in the finals, right? And
Yeah.
you're in the finals. You're the seventh seed against the eighth seed in the finals. I don't know if you're aware of the history of that, but
Yeah, it's
according
never
to Ball,
happened.
yeah, it never happened.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a cool thing to have been able to
Yeah.
achieve it?
I mean, this is my second time in MDL playoffs. My
Mm.
last time it was when I was 16 and I had bronchitis and I was playing MDL playoffs. It was really cool. Um,
Comes a
but
little
yeah, I have
raspy.
seventh and eighth seed. What's up?
Comes a little raspy with bronchitis.
Yeah, I was coughing like every time I wasn't talking, I was just coughing the whole time. But yeah, to be seventh seed playing last seed is pretty sick. Like you just never see that. Everyone thought Dig would win against Bravado, or like at least not like have the game be as close as it was. But we won't talk about that Rick's play. But yeah, that was pretty bad.
How are you looking at Bravado? I mean, this is a team that is, they're in a LAN house. They're full time CS. They're full professional. They're here from South Africa. How were you thinking about them as a team and as an opponent going into the finals?
Yeah, well, Bravado's definitely strong. Like they have a gaming house. I think gaming house really like brings up the most potential, because they can just grind all day, watch demos all day. They're together all the time, and like the environment is just like you're all there just to play and just to win. And I think that like really helps a lot.
Okay. So, but like, your team from your side, like preparing for that match, going into that final, like, How were you thinking about it personally? Was there confidence behind it? Did you feel you could beat them? Was there a specific way you prepared for them, or?
Against Bravado, well, our map pool, I really had a problem with picking overpass because our overpass wasn't that strong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we played them on Nuke again, second map, strongest map ever, 16-12 of them, and then we lost on Dust 2. I think if we got a little more prac on D2,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of picking overpass, we picked train, even though the train's super strong, I think we should have played towards our strengths and not their weaknesses. I think this probably would have been better for us if we were to play them again. But yeah, I think we went in confident, but we just didn't have enough like true practice on each map besides Nuke.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you take the loss there in that series if it comes into the full best of 3, but making top 2 in an MDL season, it's not a move up season, but still that's enormous. If this had been a move up season, you would have been in the relegation tournament to move into Pro League.
Yep.
What was that feeling like as a player?
To get second MDL finals, honestly, I wasn't expecting at all because I originally joined the team just to play with Cabooses, like because I just known him for so long, and I wasn't really even on a legit team at the time because I was trying out for Armada, and then that team fell apart because Infinite got the offer from Dignitas, and we had IGL role problems, and to join a team and get second in MDL just like right off the bat with like not as much practice as the other teams is crazy. Like I think that was super sick.
So I mean, going into the season, how were you thinking about it? Like you joined this team, you said mostly to play with Caboose. What were your expectations? Just sort of keep it out of relegation?
Literally, yeah, just to play. Like I really wasn't expecting anything to make even playoffs. Like I literally just wanted to play and get some HLTV stats, you know.
Gotta get the numbers.
Yep.
Chase those eco frags. Okay, so but now you're starting to gel as a unit, right? Like you guys went to Tulsa, you won Tokyo and Tulsa. It's a $10,000 land, so what was the prize pool was like $6,000 to $7,000 for you guys?
Yeah, we got 6,000 for first. Yeah,
it's a nice little chunk of change. You're going to Philadelphia as a unit. This team's starting to come together. What were you guys thinking in terms of promise at this point? Finalists in MDL, land wins. How are you feeling about the roster?
Well, I think the real turning point was Frag. Like, after we lost to Blackout 16-3 on both maps, Mirage and Cash, it was really like a bad turning point. And it was a result of just not practicing enough, in my opinion. We didn't get enough practice like we should have. And we weren't really going to be contenders for the next season because this is like a move-up season. People are actually going to like try super hard. And it just didn't really work out at Frag. Was
there sort of an expectation that this next season, that just an understanding that this next season is going to be a degree more competitive than the previous?
Yeah, we all knew it'd be harder for this season.
Okay, and so we're getting into the off season here. Obviously, this is sort of the meat of the interview. This is the timely thing. You guys made the decision to, as a roster, remove first Land Hero to pick up VSA, and then Huynh to pick up a Proto. My question is, first of all, I mean, you said you needed more prac, you needed a more competitive roster. Was the decision more motivated by the need to remove certain presences from the team, or from a desire to add certain presences?
Well, at first, Land Hero, he has a job and he gets off work like super late, and as a result, we can't get on early to prac and play against pro teams because pro teams scrim like really early in the day, like 11 in the morning Pacific, and he didn't get off work until like maybe like 4 or 5 Pacific, so we're like literally losing 4 hours of precious prac time that we can get against pros. Because when we scrim pro teams versus like MDL or advanced teams, like we learn so much more about like our mistakes and like problems and situations that we can just like that wouldn't happen in a match. Like we would fix them in the scrim.
In terms of scrimming pro teams, was that something you guys could always do, or was it something that as you guys started to achieve something at LANs or in MDL, you had more access to?
Well, we've been in the Skype group for getting pro scrims. There's a Skype group where all the pro teams get together and just ask for scrims and times and stuff like that. But, yeah, we couldn't really get that many because of our schedule, and that was the reason we cut Land Hero, was because of his schedule.
Okay, so it really was motivated by just, we need someone who has more time to dedicate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it wasn't really a question with his leadership. It was a question of it wasn't
anything personal or anything. Like we didn't hate the guy. We didn't like dread that he was on the team or anything. Like he wasn't a bad dude, but he just literally just couldn't play as much. Like we have three 18-year-olds, like
Hmm.
myself, Spongy, and Caboose. Like we have all the time in the world to dedicate. Like we sit in our house all day just doing nothing when we could be practicing, you know? Like so we figure we get someone else who has the time and the
Hmm.
deddy to actually just get on and grind, because that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to make pro out here. So
In terms of that, in terms of the pickup, you've got VSA. VSA spent a season in Pro League, playing with Ghost.
yeah.
He was IGLing for them. He's got that experience. He brought Rise to the cusp of Pro League. Couldn't quite bring them over the edge, but eventually made the journey himself. What about VSA specifically were you looking to add to the team?
Well, Caboose brought VSA up
Hmm.
after Frag, um, especially after the loss. Like it was just so disheartening for us, the whole team. And yeah, he brought up VSA, and we were wondering if he was contracted or not to Resolute, and if he'd want to like try out
Hmm.
as an IGL. We tried him out first, and things were going good in scrims. Like Andy's a chill guy. Like I've known him too for quite some time, and yeah, and I think we needed a little bit more experience of an IGL as well, because Land Hero, his calling style wasn't like too bad, but it wasn't like anything special
Hmm.
that we could like bring to Pro League or anything. So I figure we should pick up VSA and actually have a better chance to make Pro League.
Okay. So that pro experience, do you think that enhances? I mean, you said you're three young guys, you're three 18-year-olds, right? Do
Yeah,
you think having that pro experience makes the rest of you better?
yeah, 100%. Because we recognize Andy's like calling tendencies. Like we
Hmm.
know like what to expect each round. We have good setups. Like knowing what to expect from the opponents. We don't like like rush into an eco stack in apartments in Inferno or something. Like just everything's cool, calm, and collected. Like we all know what we're doing at one given time, and like it's the same thing when I play with Steel, like Josh from Torqued.
Hmm.
I learned so much just from like his calling style and just like knowing to just chill out like when I'm like in a certain situation, and just play off of what the opponents are doing. And it's like it really like I don't know how to explain it. Like you kind of leech off it, like you just learn from it and it like grows into you. So you like just gets like it's in your brain. You just know.
Hmm. This is a simple fact that you have someone who you know has been in this situation before, who's achieved these things, who's been there before. Does that just give you more confidence?
Yeah, it says I'm confident in his calling because he's done it so long.
Hmm.
Like he's called for years, and I've called too for like 3 seasons in MDL, and like I recognize what makes a good caller. Playing with many different teammates, and I play with some bad teammates who are bad at calling, and then good teammates who are good at calling, and I just know that Andy's like a good caller. Like he just knows what he's talking about.
Hmm. Just as soon as he says it, it's like that makes sense. I
Yeah,
got faith in it. Full in,
yeah.
full
I
buy-in.
I have no doubt in my mind. Like it's not bad.
Okay. And then the second change was to remove Huen and add a proto. And now this one, there was some discussion on Twitter about it. Do you want to just comment on what led to that particular change?
Yeah, we all made an agreement that Danny just he made so many like not big mistakes, but like little mistakes that added up
Hmm.
that it just if you do it in Pro League or like on LAN and MDL finals, it's gonna really show, and it's gonna make it a lot harder for us to like win. And the reason like we didn't really talk to him about it, we kind of did, but it was about the roster leadership because Land Hero, obviously, we mutinied him from the roster, and we figured we'd give it to Spongy and see how Danny would op on the team because Land Hero was opping, and Danny's opping. I know it takes time to adjust to the op play style, but when you're like constantly bottom fragging and you're not
Hmm.
even an entry, like you're literally like the third guy in. You're supposed to be getting those kills when you're third guy in, first guy dies. You trade it off, and you're not getting that third like you need to like do that. Like it can't just be at the bottom of the scoreboard every round. Like I'm sorry, you just can't be doing that.
Hmm.
And it's such a consistent thing. And we tried having him op, and his opping was a little better. Like we saw him like get some crucial kills and like scrims and stuff. But I don't know. Against we played MSI quali last weekend against Mythic and Complexity, and again the little mistakes just showed up again, and it was hard to cut him. Like I like Danny as a person, but I don't know. It's just you can't be doing some of the things that he did, and in our qualifier games and stuff like that.
Part of the discussion afterwards, at least from his side, seemed to be that he felt that there was a lack of communication. Do you feel, looking back a little bit, that you guys could have maybe approached it better in terms of talking things out with him?
Yeah, we probably could have, but I don't know what you would really want to say. Like, if you were to, because when you talk about it, at like if you just mention it, yeah, we're gonna look at different options. Like immediately, it just clicks. Like you're instantly thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna get cut. Like like if someone told me that I was gonna, or they're gonna look for different options for the team, like that just clicks in my head. Like, oh shit, I'm getting cut. I'm gonna get pissed. And then at the time he had the roster leadership, and we didn't want like the whole team to just die off. Like he just like kicks us all off the roster and changes the password, and the whole team's dead. Like we didn't want that. We wanted to just grind as a team and make MDL finals and make pro. But I hate talking about roster changes because people consider it to be like super shady. Like I don't want it to be shady. I don't think anyone wants that stuff to be shady, but I mean it is what it is, man. Like, and it's just like I said earlier, like if you get fired from your job and you're asking why, like it's just, you have to accept it, man. Like you made mistakes and it couldn't be changed in the time frame.
Do you think part of that weirdness of like talking about roster changes and figuring out who's doing what comes from the fact that at least at this level of CS, the decisions are made by the five, as opposed to like in a traditional sport team where it'd be like a coach is making the decision about who gets benched and who plays?
Yeah, I think it's probably better for the entire team, like to just talk about it, because it's only 5 players, and a coach. And so having like just one person like make the decision is probably bad. Like I don't think any team in CS would really want one person to make that decision. But yeah, it was pretty much just a team decision that we should try someone else out.
Okay. And bringing on someone else, you brought in a proto. You've played with a proto before. What was the connection there? I mean, was it that you guys specifically wanted him, or was it that sort of you needed to figure out a replacement and that's who you settled on?
Yeah. So it's kind of a little bit of both. Like I've known Alex since we made made Premier from main when we were like 16, and Caboose also played with him on Blackout when the org was with them, and their roster is called Chill I'm Balding now. But yeah, so me and Jake already knew him. I know Alex is a good guy too. And yeah, we figured we'd pick him up because he got a good personality. He's able to grind all day like us. He's 19 and he's got all the time in the world like we do. So it's like a really good connection.
Speaking about, I mean, the grinding all day, all the time in the world, you've got org support at this point. So you guys are all just full-time CS, right?
Yeah.
Like all in, full 5, full devotion.
Yeah, I'm not currently in school. I graduated last year and I've just been grinding CS since.
Okay, full devotion. Another addition that we can talk about to the roster, Mark the Shark.
Yep.
Your coach. What does he bring to the table as a coach?
Mark pretty much saved us in MDL finals, or sorry, not finals, playoffs, because we had a lot of issues due to lack of experience from like IGL and like the rest of the team. Because he's played Source Invite, he's played Go Invite, like plenty of seasons. Like he knows how the game works, and he helped us a lot, like especially on CT setups. Our CT sides were just garbage. Like we did not know how to really properly play like CT side cash. Like we just didn't like we'd give up mid and not take a main control type of deal. Like it's just, if you give up mid on cash, you have to take some part of the map. And like Mark literally just like emphasized that we need to do that more. And I play mid, and it's not up to me whether or not my teammates take a main or not. So so he helped a lot on our CT setups, I think.
Okay. So he was more of like a tactical addition to the roster as opposed to say like an emotional coach, more of a strategic coach?
Yeah, very tactical.
Okay. Sure. I want to touch back up on a little bit of the roster moves, specifically about, I guess, the climate that surrounded them. This has kind of become a bit of a fascination for the Twitter sphere, if you will, the MDL Twitter sphere. They seized on these changes, and there was a little bit of drama there between you and your ex-teammates, between you and other community members, the whole roster. What's it like being at the center of sort of, to use a delicate phrase, a shitstorm?
Yeah, well, it all started when Land Hero made the tweet about him leaving Vision. That was like the first tweet, and then people were commenting like, "Oh shit, what, you got cut or whatever?" And then Then Danny got cut when, and I think Land Hero posted a picture of Spongy's face as a response
Yeah.
because like just making fun of appearances, and I really would not expect that from someone who's like 29, has a girlfriend, and has to raise his girlfriend's son. You know, like that's just not something I would expect. The level of maturity is so low. Like if you're just gonna make fun of someone's appearance in a video game, like that's not something you like. It's not something that's mature. And then that started the fucking shitstorm, dude. Like that was so bad. And then people are just arguing left and right, like, oh, you guys made MDL finals in one land, like you shouldn't change your roster, like everyone just knows what happens within the team, and like everyone just knows what happens in prac. Like it's outside like Reddit, Twitter users, they really don't know what they're talking about in my opinion. Like they just don't know the inside. It's like when C9 won their major, you know, they won it in late January or late February, and then 2 months later they changed the roster after being the first NA team to win a major. It's just like it's not the same, but I think you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah, on a different scale. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like sometimes things are going on behind the scene that you may not realize. How does it feel as just as a person? I mean, not even as a player, as a person, to have a bunch of people discussing what to you is very personal business.
Yeah. Well, when I woke up this morning, seeing more drama about people tweeting about it, like you just don't respond. Like you just don't even respond to it. And obviously, like I want to respond, and I really but I'm not gonna do it. Like I have to be the adult in this situation. Like there's like 26-year-olds like just talking about it, making more drama, and I have to be the teenager who's an adult. Like it's ridiculous, and I really, it's like the CS community like kind of turned into League of Legends community. It's just a bunch of like little kids, or like people just acting like little kids about like basic roster changes. Like it doesn't happen all the time already. Like teams change their roster, like it's no big deal. Like you just move on. It's like really not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit about like say Accelerate also made changes, remove 2, they're changing their roster, and you were sort of comparing it a little bit earlier. Does it feel almost unfair that your roster changes, your moves are being criticized in a way that other rosters aren't being subject to?
Yeah, I mean, with Accelerate, like they randomly cut Loner. Like I didn't really see a shitstorm in that. Like they just cut him. I don't know the reason why. I don't know if it was a performance thing or personality clash or whatever. But I think like because we had like a Dust 2 article about us. Like I didn't see that on Accelerate. Like, or at least they may have posted it. I didn't see it. People didn't really tweet about it that much. But
yeah, there was a quick one. I don't think it was this juicy.
Yeah, just a tiny article that like no one read. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess because we're MDL finalists and people just thought we shouldn't be changing it, even though like it just happened already. So I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
I mean, one thing that I've myself made a point about before, and obviously I have no MBL experience, so I'm coming very much from the outside role. But I personally think that a lot of times continuity is undervalued by teams and undervalued by players in terms of like continuity of chemistry playing with each other. In this context, I mean, there were extenuating circumstances instead of Land Hero not having the same amount of time to devote and that kind of thing. But do you think that there is an element that's lost when you don't have time to play together as a roster?
Are you saying like with adding like, VSA and our proto, or
just in general? I'm not talking about this move in specific because you guys do have a fair amount of time like to play before
just like
the late
changing
season.
Rosters.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's like a honeymoon period, kind of, you know, when teams add a new player and things are like going good. But yeah, I think it kind of throws things off. But I think if you just grind it out, because like we're in August is like a player break, and as a result, like there's not that many tournaments going on, so we can just literally just prac against like other MDL teams, because I don't think MDL teams deserve a player break. They're not traveling all the time like pros are, so they don't really need a break. But yeah, it gives us time to just, you know, work on fundamentals and things like that.
Speaking of travel, because yes, NBL teams don't tend to travel that much, but you guys have been doing a fair amount of traveling since you joined Vision.
Yeah.
For an NBL roster. You were in Tulsa. Obviously, you won that LAN. You were at Fragadelphia. At the end of this month, you're going to be at GexCon, right?
Yep.
Vision going to be at GexCon. Exciting stuff there. I'll be there too, as you know. If you're anyone watching this right now, if you're not at GexCon, you're a nerd. Not a good one. But do you feel that having that time actually in person with your teammates, having that travel time together, having that LAN experience together helps to improve the team?
Yeah, because we get to like know each other a little bit, and I think it's the same thing as like a gaming house. My voice is cracking so much.
You're good.
Yeah,
I'm not
'cause
hearing it.
yeah. The gaming house type of deal and boot camping with teammates and stuff like at a LAN it's kind of similar because you guys you just know each other, you meet each other, playing with each other. It's like kind of like a gaming house, But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's definitely better because we just, especially looking at your teammates' screen during the game, because like you just see how they play and stuff like how they play situations out. I think it's interesting.
If you had to, I mean, just early days, comparing like the experience in Tulsa, the experience in Frag. Obviously, there was a different degree of competitiveness at Frag. Just a ton of there were many more rosters that were sort of at a competitive tier on par or above or like in that range of you guys, right?
Yeah.
How did going into that competition? How did it feel different, or did it feel similar, different?
Well, as you know, AGM was cheating at LAN again, but he was playing so good. When we went against Accelerate and got 16-14
Mm-hmm.
after losing both pistols,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we should have beat them if we got one pistol. I think like just one pistol round. Like that's 6 free rounds for Accelerate. But for the rest of the teams there, yeah, there's definitely a lot of competition. I think we could have done it, but obviously we didn't. But I think it was a possibility. And I also disagreed with the Philadelphia bracket where uppers were BO1s and lowers are BO3s because then more people are just going to have to play BO3s all day.
Mm.
And that kind of threw us off because we have to sit in the heat. First of all, the humidity was terrible. I hated how hot and slick like my skin was. It was so greasy. And having like 4-hour breaks in between because we played like one BO3 and then we had to wait like 4 hours for the next BO3, the lower bracket BO3, because for whatever reason, oh yeah, we were like 4th round or something. I don't remember.
Mm.
We had to wait for other teams to play. That was annoying because they're already warmed up. We're not. Like we're at the Airbnb chilling, and we're like literally not aim training. We're not playing. We're not warmed up like everyone else is. So yeah, that was annoying. I didn't really like that. So I think depending on how your bracket was, you had an advantage because you were playing all day.
That's fair. Taking this forward, I mean, you're going to be going to a LAN now at the end of the month. You've got like 2 weeks ish to practice with this new roster, with your new solid 5. You're going into this LAN. We know that you're going to be in attendance. Accelerate's going to be in attendance. I know that AZO is going to be in attendance. I think there's going to be a few more MDL teams in attendance, but I'm not sure exactly who as of yet. How are you feeling going into the LAN?
I think with Andy calling, it's going to be great. Like in a Proto's fragging ability, he's so good. He's going to be our entry now.
Mm-hmm.
So and we can trade off him and really like take this land by storm. I think we're going to be really strong, and as well as like online performance, I think will be good too.
Are you excited to, after all this controversy, if you're going to call it controversy, and the drama and whatnot, to be able to show off this new roster on LAN?
Yeah,
To show
I just want to
why
play,
you did?
man. I just want to play land, dude. It's so much fun. But yeah, I know what you mean. Just because everyone's like hating on us right now for making the roster changes, but if we do good and then prove other people wrong, I think it'll feel good.
Mhm.
Just to prove people wrong. Kind of like the whole like us making MDL finals, beating FY being really. I think it's gonna be like that similar feeling.
Just like triumph against the odds.
Yep. Yep.
With this kind of roster, I mean, you guys are, at this point, based on the rosters that are there, kind of favorites, I'd imagine. I mean, you're certainly favorites to make serious playoffs and to make at least quarters, if not, finals.
Yep.
Is there a different element coming into a LAN or a tournament as favorites as opposed to underdogs?
Well, I don't think any of us are that online. I mean, I have 80 ping to every server, so I can like wide peek everything online. But I think LAN, I love LAN because I'm on the same playing field as everyone else, and that literally like gives me confidence. I'm not just gonna get owned from someone just wide peeking me. Like I can actually just hold something, And I think a lot of teams they just make that mistake, and yeah, it literally brings I think all of us confidence. I think we're all gonna be good on LAN.
Okay. Based on who you know is going right now, who are you anticipating to be the toughest matchup?
Probably either Accelerate or Azio. I think Azio because I think Accelerate their old roster is probably better, but yeah, Azio is probably going to be the harder team.
Throwing a little shade.
Yeah.
Gotta start the storylines, right?
Yeah.
Gotta start the storylines. Okay, so I mean, all this LAN experience, all this behind you. At this point, the roster's solidified. You've made the moves. You've moved on from it. we're looking forward to the future, right? Next season of MDL is a move up season.
Yep.
As you said, you expect it to be a lot more competitive. The new Swole Patrol looks really good with Swag and Markey. You've got, Accelerate bringing their new roster, their A game. You've got Bravado, who are going to be gunning for that top spot once again. Gorilla Gang are staying together. They had a strong run. I mean, you've got a lot of these rosters where there's a lot of strength. The Monstars are getting the food toy. There's new flux. There's new teams that are going to be coming through. You're expecting a higher tier competition. Team 1, it'll be interesting. How are you looking at this next season?
I think it'll be a lot harder. Obviously, there's a lot more better teams. Like Team 1, the new Swole roster, I think they're super strong. So I think it's going to be harder, and we just have to work harder and just grind. I think we can do it, though.
If you're going to set an expectation for yourself, old roster having made finals of the MDL, what's the watermark that you're going to place for yourself of like success in the season?
Compared to the previous season?
Just completely independent from anything else, what do you expect of your roster?
Expecting going to LAN and winning LAN. Deadass. I think we can do it. Like, Andy is literally such a good caller, and I think adding a proto, Caboose, Spongy, like we're all so individually talented, and when we mesh together, we're gonna do something. It's gonna be good.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. Vision, top 1 MDL, winning the LAN. They're ready for it. You guys ready for that Pro League spot?
Hell yeah.
What would that mean to you to make Pro League?
Well, ever since I started playing like 4 or 5 years ago, like I wasn't really expecting to get this far, like in MDL. Like I just played for fun. I played with a streamer called No Sleep TV. I don't know if you know who that was, but
I think I do.
Yeah, he was he played Guild Wars and we played Guild Wars together, and yeah, I really wasn't expecting to get this far in terms of like just getting good and getting this high of a like league status. So making pro, literally a dream. Like that'd be such a dream. Like just doing what I love, making money doing it, meeting new people, like it'd be crazy.
So well, it's looking very promising for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that this team has, it's exceeded expectations of last season. Would you say at this point it's right where you want it to be?
Yeah. I would say so, yeah.
You think you guys are on the right track?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just have to put in the effort to prac and grind, and we can do it.
Okay. Anything else on the horizon for the team or for you in general, for Floppy in specific, that you're especially looking forward to?
GexCon, just traveling to more lands. We're playing some Toronto qualifier, and I have to get my passport for that, for another Canadian land.
That's the one that Stronglinks has been tweeting out, right?
Yeah, I think it might be, yeah.
Okay. Have you not had passport before?
No, I haven't gotten my passport yet. I'm not gonna pull an exotic and not travel to Europe, but yeah, I'll get my passport expedited.
That's exciting though. This would be your first time abroad internationally?
Yeah. Yep.
If that happens, that's a pretty big landmark as a player, right?
Yeah, it'd be good. I don't think it'd be too different though, because I live all the way on the West Coast, and traveling from like west to east, like from Oregon to Philly, that was such a long flight. But I think Canada, it'll be kind of like Philly. I don't think it'll be too different, but yeah.
Still, do you think that's kind of like, when you first started playing, did you ever expect that CSGO would send you internationally?
No, I wasn't expecting that at all.
Is that kind of like an interesting bar to hit as a person, as a player?
Yeah, because like I've always wanted to like see the world, like who wouldn't, like just traveling, and especially like doing it with support from Vision, it's just it's so nice, just not having to worry about expenses and stuff like that, and just seeing, just different places instead of my room all day. But it's nice.
Obviously, at this point, one of the like guidelines, one of the stories to follow, one of the teams that you kind of want to follow in the footsteps of as an MDL roster is the current E United roster. And obviously, your new caller, VSA, very familiar with that team. He got to the cusp of Pro League with them as well. They were very close. Do you think that kind of magic of qualifying up to Pro League, making ECS, going towards the LAN, is that a path that you see being accessible for this Vision roster?
Yeah, because I think Rise Nation back then was, I think personally they were a little overrated. I think they had a lot to learn back then, because after losing to Soar, like no one was really expecting Rise to lose to Soar, but I honestly thought Soar brought like way more, because I know MCE is a good caller, and he knows a lot. And I think that team had a lot more potential. But after picking up relics and making MDL land, I think they learned a lot from that land and really used it for their next one. So yeah, I definitely see this with this team as well. Like just learning from these smaller lands and applying it to MDL land would be good.
For you personally, focusing in a little bit on you as a player, how do you feel like you've developed in the last season and the last year of CS?
For over like 2018, being at August now, I think, well, I'd say from like 2017 when I was trying out for Ghost. Oh, 1 second, my mom.
Hi, Floppy Mom. Oh, and there's the dog. Hi, Floppy Mom. This interview brought to you by Floppy's dog.
Stay here. My dog's being a little whiner. Sorry about that. Anyway, what was the question? Sorry, I wasn't.
So the question was, you personally as a player, how have you developed in the last year of playing CS?
I think when I tried out for Ghost and playing with Steel brought a lot. Just like it really opened up my mind to CS, because when I first joined Rank S, I thought I was like ready, to like make pro. Like my 17-year-old mind didn't know that there was so much more of the game than MDL, like playing against pro teams all the time. That really opened up my mind, and I thought I knew more than I did, and obviously I didn't. But yeah, I think I've evolved a lot. Like this is the most I've ever played. This, like, in terms of team CS on HLTV, I have a lot more matches this year than I do in like 2017, 2016. So I think I've evolved a lot as a player this year and the year before.
In your ideal world, if like in a vacuum outside of your team, your brand is CS, how would you ideally like to play the game? Like your
What do you mean by that?
Like if a team was set up entirely to facilitate your play style and to like maximize your impact, how would you want to play?
In or out of game, or like both?
In game, specifically.
In game, in terms of like, I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean by
just
that?
Like roles on a roster, the way like a passive hole or a passive play style, a more aggressive play style, a more tactical play style, a more freeform play style.
Yeah, well, I kind of like to, I like to really, I guess, expose what the enemy's doing, and I like to exploit that. In the sense, I like to be that guy who, like, if I see a tendency that someone's doing something, I like to be the guy who just like punishes it. Like if they're constantly like pushing holes on Inferno or something, I like to just re-aggro holes. Or like, for instance, if it's like a 4v5 as CT side Inferno, I like to aggro Boiler and like kill 2 because they're not expecting like an aggro push in Boiler or something. I like to be that guy who like turns around the game mid-round. I like to be that guy.
So sort of a reactive style. See what they're doing, read it, and act based on it.
I think CS is completely reactive. You react what your opponent's doing, and I think whatever's happening in the round, you have to react to it. You can't just stay stagnant about it. I think that's how the game's supposed to be played. Okay.
Well, this has been really enlightening. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be a really exciting season for you guys. It'll be an exciting LAN at the end of the month where we'll be seeing you here at Nerd Street Gamers at the Eastern Conference Championship stop in DC at GexCon. Do you have any parting sentiments? Anything last you want to impart to the community, to anybody out there?
Well, I just want to say thanks to the fans, VisionGaming. I know plenty of my buddies are going to be watching this too on the stream, and thanks for watching. Thanks to Vision for all the support, and all the fans who support us. I appreciate it, and we wouldn't be doing this without you guys, so thank you.
All right, so shout outs to the fans, and we'll see you again, hopefully soon. So once again, this has been another edition of Darf Talks here at the Nerd Street Gamers channel. We hope you're all going to join us at GexCon at the end of the month for the Nerd Street Gamers Eastern Conference Championship 10K stop there. You'll be able to see Floppy in the flesh, get him to sign your mouse pad and whatever else you want.
Yeah.
Touch his jersey, get a little fragment of the god. But hopefully we'll see you there. If not, hopefully we'll see you next week. It'll begin Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be back with somebody else.